A lot of you have asked me what the Action Closer system is. Some of you who are tuning in recently for the first time. And so I thought this would be a great refresher for some of my existing students and for some of you who are getting curious, who've heard about the Action Closer system. I thought this would be a great way to do it. So today we're going to talk about what the Action Closer system is and how it works and what the definitions of the terms within the system are. So the Action Closer system is a really simple sales system that says if the customer uses the four loves to the sale, if the customer loves you, the company, the guarantee, and the product, they'll be rooting for you, right? Rooting for you instead of objecting to you. So instead of finding ways out of the sale, your customer will actually be looking for ways to make it work. So let's dive into it and let's just move into some of the definitions within the system. So what is a sales pitch? I mean, everybody's heard a sales pitch. We all know a lot of times it has a negative connotation. Well, for us, the definition for the Action Closer system is a truthful, super important, truthful, well thought out sales conversation with your customer that gives them autonomy. So a truthful, well thought out sales conversation that gives the customer autonomy. That is what a sales pitch is. Now, what is autonomy? For the purposes of our selling, it means basically control, right? Well, in the Action Closer system, autonomy means the decision is up to the customer and they know it, right? As salespeople, we know that we can never make a customer buy, force them to, short of pulling a gun, and that's not good. So making a customer buy, it won't happen. So the decision is up to them. The key to getting them to give you the attention you need to persuade them that you have the best products and the best services is to make sure they understand that they have autonomy or that the decision is up to them. Microscript. A microscript is a 15 to 45 second max little miniature script that you can insert anywhere throughout your presentation. So the entire presentation is built up of mini scripts. And basically what that allows for is if you need to adapt or move fluidly within the sales situation based on a customer's response or a change in circumstance, you can do that without throwing out the whole entire pitch. You just exchange microscripts. So microscripts are a 15 to 45 second miniature script used to keep the pitch conversational. A commitment. Now, this is one of the number one points of the Action Closer system is a commitment, a point of realization that by the buyer, that they are committed to a certain feature or benefit or advantage of your product. So in other words, the customer says it, not you, right? If I'm a salesperson and I say to you, hey, I got the best pen in the world. You really need this pen. This is the best pen ever. Do you believe me? Probably not. You might think I'm exaggerating. You might think I'm even lying because I'm a salesperson and it's my job to sell you. But if I can get you, the customer, through getting commitments to tell me, oh man, that is the best pen I've ever seen, it's going to be really easy to sell you that pen. So the next thing, in order to get those commitments, you're going to need calibrated questions. Calibrated questions are questions that you thought about. They're pinpointed and they're intentional questions asked throughout the pitch that lead the customer in the direction of those realizations or those commitments, so that the customer can become committed to your product. The four loves are the four major commitments you're going to need. That's going to be you, the product, the company, and the guarantee, in no particular order, but it's you, the product, the company, and the guarantee. If they love those four things, again, they'll be trying to find a way to make it work with you. Now, sales esteem. Sales esteem is another very important part of becoming a master of sales. Sales esteem is how you feel, your self-confidence within your sales position, and this is really important, the and is really important, and your knowledge of how important sales is. Without sales, the economy does nothing. And so we'll talk about that as we get into the system, but you must have high sales esteem, and we'll get into what the differences are between low and high when we get into the system. But sales esteem is really important. Moment of truth. The moment of truth should happen early in your presentation. It's a key part of your pitch in which the customer is made aware of your intentions. So the customer knows you're here to sell them something, that you're there about business, because if not, you'll get to the part where you're trying to close them and they'll get upset because it'll feel like pressure because they never saw it coming. You never want to blindside a customer. You want to be truthful and open and honest from the beginning. And that moment of truth starts early by letting them know your intention to sell them something. Plowing. We've all, as salespeople, been in the situation where we're trying to get through our presentation and the customer's giving us nothing. Maybe just a, yep, how much is it, or whatever. And we keep going. That's a big mistake, and we'll get into how to avoid plowing. But when you plow, you're just wasting your time and the customers, because you're not getting any engagement, you're not getting any commitments, and they aren't going to be in love with you, the product, the company, and the guarantee when it comes time to price the project or the product out. And so they're going to just give you all kinds of objections. They're never going to buy from you. The villain. Now, the villain's an interesting part of our selling technique, and that is that if they don't go with you or your product or your service, what's going to happen to them? Well, most likely they're going to go with somebody else. And since you know you're 100% sold on the fact that you have the best product, the best service, the best salesperson, that's you, in the business, and the best guarantee, there is no way you can allow that to happen to your customer at all costs. You must make sure that they don't get caught by the villain. The villain is the person who brings them the lesser quality product or the lesser quality service or the ripoff or whatever. And you must form a villain within your own industry. And we'll talk about how to create that when we get further into the system. Price conditioning. Price conditioning is super important if you want to make any money. You've got to make the customer use industry terms and numbers to make the customers have the right vision of what this should cost, right? And we'll get into how to do that, but they have to know kind of like what range you're going to be in when you show them a price. By the way, always show the price after the pitch so that you can grab those four loves before you're asking them to buy. But if they think the price picture, which is our next definition, if their perception is much lower, that you're not going to have much luck, because the customers always buy when value exceeds the price. So value has to exceed the price. So you have to use price conditioning to paint the right price picture so that the customer understands and knows why it costs what it does, and that it's going to be thereabouts before you give them the price, so that there's not sticker shock, so that there's not, I thought it was going to be $3,000 when you're $13,000 or whatever. And then the big four, those are the four objections you get in your industry. Every industry has four or less major objections. I want to think about it. I want to talk to so-and-so. I want to get a couple more prices or whatever. But every industry has four or less objections that they're going to get every single day, which makes it really easy to learn to overcome those. So those are some of the major definitions we're going to use as we get into the series and we begin to learn the ActionCloser system. Stay tuned, and another episode will be out real soon. Make today the best day of your life.